We're waiting for a verdict in the case against Matthew Plote. The jury is deliberating as we speak, and we'll get the decision to you as soon as possible. Plote is accused of strangling 27-year-old Melissa Lamish of Mount Morris, killing her and her unborn baby. Prosecutors say he then set her house on fire. Defense witnesses took the stand Friday. The final testimony, which is what you're looking at now, came from fire investigator John Knapp, who calls the previous investigation into the blaze at the Lamish home inadequate. He says there's not enough evidence to show it was intentionally set.
All of the materials that I had, including the State Fire Marshal's report, the investigator that handled the case, there were many pieces of information that I didn't feel were that could give me an adequate opinion to the conclusion of the fire, meaning multiple possibilities.